Dale Carnegie said, people rarely succeed at anything unless they have fun doing it. At our house, we like to say, whoever has the most fun wins. And today we're going to be talking about having fun.
Welcome to the What Could Go Right podcast. We are your hosts, Erik, Orton.
And I'm Emily Orton.
And here we talk about personal growth and sailing. In 2014, we moved aboard a fixer-upper sailboat and bootstrapped a year sailing with our 5 kids, and it changed our lives forever.
We tell the whole story in our memoir, our book, 7 at Sea. On this podcast, we want to help you go from fear to freedom, one adventure at a time. Many adults struggle to see play as purposeful, and we tend to associate productivity with being very serious. And I say I fit into that category in some ways. Like, I remember when we decided that we were going to live on a sailboat for a year as a family, I had to have a pretty keen through line of what the purpose of that was. And for me, it was strengthening family connections, life experiences, skill set, but most of all, that we would go through something together as a family that would really deepen our family culture. And of course, there were all kind of things that spun off from that: friendships, adventures, exploring. But I knew the purpose of that trip, and it carried me through. And then after we got back, when we started traveling again, I was like, but why are we doing this? Like, why are we road tripping around Europe? Why are we, just hanging out in New Zealand for 100 days? I don't know what we're doing here. I wanted to have a sense of direction, a sense of trajectory. And I know I've seen the bumper sticker that not all who wander are lost, but that's if I think you know why you're doing it. And sometimes I have struggled to see the point of play, and not always. Hopefully we'll explore part of my transformation on today's episode. But I just want to confess to being one of those people who's like, chop, what are we doing with our lives here? And how is that going to bless anybody or help anybody or make the world a better place? And it's okay. There are actually a lot of people who are just very purpose driven. That doesn't mean that I'm worse or better than it, or that you are. It just means when we come to understand the value of play, we'll be able to align better our need for purpose, and we will be able to have more fun. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on just as we get started on this idea.
Okay.
Because you have a different philosophy.
Do I?
Well, yeah, you say like, if we're not
having fun, we're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Isn't that the title of the?
Could be. This could be the title. We'll see.
Emily has a piece of paper here that says podcast outline. If we're not having fun, we're doing it wrong.
Titles are always suggested and change at the last minute. So it'll be fun to see if it.
Yeah. I guess, having worked at a number of jobs, I've felt the difference between having fun at work and not having fun. And I'll tell you what, one is a lot more sustainable than the other. One of my most fun jobs was I was in college and I worked in the scene shop for the theater department. And to be honest, the guy that we worked for was a little bit of a grumpy pants. He wasn't fun, but me and my buddies that I worked with, we had fun. And the work itself was fine. I liked building sets, and it's cool to put together, this sort of make-believe, pretend situation. Sets are a pretty fascinating undertaking.
So it would be the background sets for all of the theatrical productions on campus. So different worlds, different times.
So, we'd be building, we'd be creating pirate ships or brick buildings in old, like turn of the century New York, or something that's sort of fantastical with lots of layers that has just bizarre colors. And, it wasn't like we were building 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses over and over and over again. Every project was unique, but that wasn't what made it fun. Now, that was probably part of it. The other is I just got along with the people that I worked with, and we would have fun, and we'd talk, and we'd tell stories, and, we were doing manual work, and so we had the ability to talk. It wasn't like, oh, could you shush? I'm actually trying to write an email, or I'm on a conference call. We had a lot of time
crunching numbers.
Yeah, we had a lot of time to enjoy. That said, I also have had office jobs. The job that I had at the very beginning of, actually not the beginning of 7 at Sea. When we left at 7, when the job that I quit to go live on the sailboat, and I wrote about it in 7 at Sea, I was working in a skyscraper building in New York City, and it was just office work, fluorescent lights, gray walls, industrial carpet. But I had a couple of coworkers that I really got along with that made all the difference.
Secrets out. I think in the book you call it like the ditch digging of Wall Street, or just like how it was sucking out your soul. And all of those things are also true. And I think the only reason that you lasted there as long as you did were because of these couple of people.
Shout out to my buddy Mark, who was my next door neighbor at the desk, and a number of other people. But yeah, the people that I worked with, I tell you what, I would rather have a really lousy project to work on and great people rather than a really fantastic project with lousy people. The people that if you can have fun with the people that are around you, that's going to make all the difference, no matter how arduous the task.
I totally second that. And listeners, maybe you can think of situations you've been in where that has really made the difference. I know for me, one of my early jobs was also manual labor. I paid my way through college working at like an industrial laundromat, and we would like wash and iron sheets, food service, not costumes, uniforms and stuff like that. And sometimes we would race against other shifts to see who could, adequately iron the most number of work shirts or something. But there was this girl who also got the job, and she was so funny. And we would be together, just the two of us, working the whole shirt press. And a lot of times she would be daydreaming, or she'd be telling a story, or she'd be acting something out. And she wouldn't necessarily even be doing her part of the job. And I would do both parts of the job, and it would still go faster. And the time would go faster. And we just
because you were being entertained.
The best time because I was being entertained. And it actually made me think of this play we watched in New York a long time ago called Anna in the Tropics. And it was about a bunch of Cuban cigar rollers.
What's the guy's name?
Way back. Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smits
plays the lector or the reader, and his job was that he was hired to go read in this cigar factory so that people wouldn't get bored while they were just sitting there rolling cigars. And he read Anna
Karenina.
Yeah, because I can never say that name, so thank you.
Because I speak Russian.
Thank you. You did take some Russian, so you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, oh, I was born at the wrong time. Like that would have been the job for me, just to be like a lector in a factory somewhere, just like reading books out loud.
You would be so good.
That would have been good. So anyway, audiobooks took over my dream job, but I just think what are the elements that make it fun? And you've mentioned sometimes it is the project, but it always has to do with the ease with which you can interact with the people around you, and how much you can enjoy each other's company because you're treating each other with respect and as humans, and having a sense of humor and a little encouragement and cheerfulness, even if there's some teasing,
I think the place where I felt this most keenly was actually in a church service situation. I was in a leadership role, and we'd have meetings, and
nonstop
I mean, how fun are meetings? Meetings are the best, right? So we would have meetings to, who needs help? Who can we be looking out for? We're going to plan some activities. We're going to do some, just general organizational stuff. We had so much fun. We had a great time. And I think when you take things like service, or like, I'm thinking of a time when, what was the hurricane that came through in New York? And Hurricane Sandy. Yeah. And so, we all got organized, and we went out and we were helping dig out people's basements, and getting rid of stuff that had been ruined by the seawater that had come in. And that stuff can be drudgery. The sort of the volunteering, chopping trees after a hurricane, things like that. But if you go into it with a good heart, with a good disposition, and you can have fun with the people around you, and you can feel good about the people that you're helping, I think any one of those things could be a really grinding experience. Any job can be a grinding experience. Any home life can be a grinding experience. If we can let it be fun, it makes it easier. And we want to, and to your point, to the initial quote, we want to keep doing it if we're having fun. That, like, we can persist in the good service that we're providing, in the work that we're doing, in the relationships that we're in. We want to keep going if we're having fun.
Yeah. What if fun isn't a distraction from success? What if it is the very thing that makes it possible? And
where'd you get that?
Hey,
made that stuff up?
We're just coming up,
making stuff up.
But I mean, you can actually study this. We have a friend who got like his PhD in play. I just finished listening.
Who is that? Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Is it Kenneth?
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. It was, it kind of like education.
Yeah. Play and education. I just finished, I'm most of the way through this health book called The Align Method, where they're talking about the importance of play for adults, the importance of play for creativity, the importance of play for enjoying life, the importance of play for reducing stress as a health benefit that, is a hindrance to disease and just keeps us lively and active, can make your joints more flexible, the importance of play for avoiding or pulling out of anxiety and depression. Not that it's the only one part, it's a more complex issue, but it is one of the elements for living a fulfilling life. We all want to be happy. There's maybe going to be some play involved.
Can I share an example from this morning?
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if you guys noticed, I got my hair cut. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you might want to. It's going to be worth your while.
If you haven't been paying attention, you have to go back 2 episodes.
So I got my hair cut, and the lady who was cutting my hair said to me, we're chatting about this and that. She's a grandma. She's actually a great grandma, which works because I went to Great Clips.
Yeah.
And so she's got the great going on.
Yeah.
And she cut my hair, and she, inevitably what I do for work or our business comes up, and she's cutting my hair, sorry. And she's like, "You've got really thick, like healthy hair." And I was like, "Thank you." And she's like, "I can tell you really like you enjoy your life and you're relaxed and you don't have a lot of stress." And who's to say whether I have a lot of stress or not, but she was kind of giving me like a health diagnosis through my hair. And I was like, all right, so you're saying that one of the ways to have good hair is to just have fun.
That is true.
That if you're out having fun, if you enjoy what you do, then it leads to a healthier, better physical health.
Yeah.
And apparently hair.
Yeah.
According to her. And so, who's to say? But I was like, I'll take it. Yeah. I want to keep living a life that is happy and pleasant and enjoyable. And I know none of us are going to live free of strife, but if we can choose to eliminate stress and worry and fear, that shows up in our physical persona, I think.
Yeah, definitely. There's a book that's widely known called The Body Keeps Score that talks about the ways that your body holds on to unprocessed hard experiences. And it also manifests at the cellular level when you feel relaxed, when you feel calm, when you feel content, when you feel playful. And in fact, my last doctor visit, she was like, what if you lift weights less and like relax more? That's going to be good for your health. And so I have been taking that to heart, and I have 3 days a week where I focus on relaxing.
Yes. Determined to relax. Okay. We're throwing out a lot of book titles, and so I'm going to throw out one more. Greg McKeown. And I think the book is, I've read a couple by him, but I think it's called Effortless. And one of my favorite quotes is, why make it hard when you can let it be easy?
Mm-hmm.
Why make it hard when you can let it be easy? So many times, I'll speak for myself. I was about to speak in the royal we, but I'll say for myself that I will make something hard just because it feels like it matters more, or it will deserve my best effort, or it will be more satisfying. And, there's something to be said for going after things that are challenging or difficult. But sometimes I think we make it difficult unnecessarily. We could let it be easy. You say, what if getting out of debt is easy? Or what if getting in shape is easy? Or what if building a business is easy? If you're like me, you're probably thinking like, oh yeah, well, you know what? It's not. It's not easy to get out of debt. It's not easy to get healthy. It's not easy to start a successful business. But what, does it have to be hard?
Or could we make it light? Could we make it fun?
Is there a way that it could be easy? And so I'm just, as I say this, I'm not pushing back on you, dear listener. I'm pushing back on myself saying, do I sort of presume that it has to be hard?
And kind of clench up.
And like, oh, there's got to be some really big obstacles out there that are going to like blindside me. And whether there are or not, I don't have to make them up. They'll take care of themselves, or I could just let things work out way more easily than I ever expected. And so sometimes I think we create our own drama. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why make it hard when you like it be easy?
We definitely can. If you want more on that, definitely you may want to consider probably the audiobook of How to Win Friends and Influence People, because I feel like maybe it's about how to have influence over people, but it's really mostly about governing yourself and checking your own attitude and making sure, just recognizing that things do feel easier when you have a cheerful disposition and when you're interested in other people and when you think you can make something a little more fun and a little more playful, and when you're thinking about the other person's needs ahead of your own. And so you're like, oh, this would be good for you because these are the needs you have and this matches up with what you're looking for. It's making it very light and very sociable, and kind of extracting the anxiety, extracting the anger, extracting the ego, and being like, hey, we're on an adventure together and I'm seeing if I can do some good for you, and that's really kind of my takeaway of that classic, one of the most checked out books from the New York City Library. They had a little sign up one day saying that How to Win Friends and Influence People is the book that is the most checked out from the New York City Library.
Like number one?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is saying something, people. That is saying something.
And my daughter was asking me like, hey, this book you read, it's pretty old. It's quoted everywhere. What were your takeaways on your first time start to finish? And I was like, yeah, my takeaway is that it's quoted a lot, but it's not lived that much. So we can always return to it. And I felt like this was such a good point that he made, that people rarely succeed at anything unless they have fun doing it. I'll use my metaphor of running a marathon. Never saw myself as a runner, but I had a friend who was running, and I thought, I want to try that new thing. I had just had our fifth child and kind of on a rebound for having some time by myself or time with friends and kind of getting back into shape after the pregnancy. And like, that really was it. You never would have seen me out there just listening to like a Nike coach in my ear and just going for it on my own. Like, for me, it was social. I knew that I liked the running. I liked seeing what my body could do and watching it transform and seeing it carry me 26.2 miles when I didn't really even know if that was possible. But I was in it for the social hour. Like, I knew every day I was going to get up, I was going to see my friend. We were going to get to talk to each other.
Hallelujah.
We had this like thing we were working on together, but mostly I just wanted to be able to hang out with my friend. And that is why I ran the first marathon. Still love this friend. She's continued to run marathons, not me. We get together, we talk in other ways, but it was being with her that made it so fun. And
so the people you surround yourself with can have a big influence on how fun it is.
that can make a huge difference. And I guess to that note, and I can see us maybe winding up here pretty soon. That is one of the reasons that when we do our sailing trips, we want to meet with every single person. And we know that it's going to be a collection of unique individuals, but that who all enjoy the outdoors, who are all interested in learning something new, who all still have a zest for life, who are willing to do something brave, step a little outside of their comfort zone, who are growth minded and want to learn, who are willing to get aboard a ship for 5 to 7 days with people that they don't know well, although they do have an opportunity to meet via Zoom beforehand. They're willing to trust us with that selection process. People who want to pitch in, people who want to be part of a team, and people who want to make new friends. And so that's one of the things that makes these trips so special, because even though each group is unique, those traits are pretty in common. And when you get a group of people like that together, they have a good time.
This is a bit of a tangent, but since you brought it up, I'm often asked, do you ever tell people no? And the answer is yes. I tell people no.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say, you're not invited. I'll just kind of point them to another direction.
Oh, it sounds like you might be looking for an experience like this.
But I'll talk with people, and I was like, what people say, well, what kind of people do you say no to? And I'll say, I don't say yes to people who are entitled and, want things done for them, or are not interested in being involved in pitching in or learning. And in the end, to your point, we want it to be something that everyone is going to enjoy, because if everyone is enjoying themselves, everyone benefits from a good experience. If you get one cranky pants or one bad apple, we're not perfect, but I think the people that come are really up for it. They're happy to be there. They are looking for what this is. And so, to your point, we're surrounded by people who are excited to be there. So we have a good time. And there's not a ton of work, but meals need to get made. The boat needs to get sailed, and there's some stuff that needs to get done. But none of it feels hard because we're having fun.
Yeah.
Everyone's learning. Everyone's willing to do what it takes, and so we could make it hard if we wanted to. We could, but we don't. And even when stuff goes wrong, people are like, hey, this is part of the adventure. This is how you learn. I never would have learned that if this or that hadn't gone wrong. That's the kind of people that we want to be around on the boats and in life.
Yeah. Here. I totally agree with that. So one of the things that I've learned as someone who is very purpose driven is that some of the benefits of play, science aside, play, I've said this before, this is my own belief that play is the deepest form of rest. Play, we can shed our considerations of all our other worries and concerns, and we can be totally focused and delighted on what's happening right in front of us, the people that are right in front of us. We're full of gratitude, and it is a beautiful way to connect. We connect through play. We did not raise our kids in a game playing house. We didn't play a lot of games. We did a lot of questions about the future,
or even a lot of sports,
but I think we're starting to see that we're not going to be continuing on in that way. Now, when we try to get together, we're like, okay, what are we going to do to make it so that it's relaxing and fun and enjoyable for our grown kids to come to our house, or our grandkids to come to our house? Because if it's not, they're not going to want to come, and they don't have to.
My kids are making fun of me because I've taken up solitaire, which I think is fun.
Yeah.
There's no purpose other than to divert my mind and exercise and play in another way. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I totally love it because I don't know what's going on. Because you could be scrolling. Like it's sometimes it can be hard to stay present, but if you're doing a puzzle together or playing a card game together, the real point is that you're being together. And whether you are even hibachi. And so I love that you play solitaire because you're like, hey, I want to.
Isn't hibachi
That's a food thing
Oh,
that
okay.
you do in
Oh,
the
okay. I was
middle.
like,
But, you know, like,
is
hey,
that again?
we're seeing if this piece of meat is cooked or this vegetable. It's like an activity you do while you wait for dinner to be ready. But I love that you play solitaire because you're like, I can just kind of keep an eye on this card game, and that allows me to sit still
I've played 4 times.
so that I can be
Total.
present in this conversation, right? You're not
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm trying to isolate myself in a social situation. You're like, I just, you know,
I need a
I'm
fidget.
an active guy. I need a fidget. And so it actually helps you stay present.
And doing that and doing puzzles.
Yeah, and that's really fun. So these are all like little ways you might incorporate play into your life, whether it's just cultivating good relationships with the people that you work with, your colleagues, your family member, having your inside jokes, turning on dance music while you do after dinner chores, putting out a puzzle while you're visiting. Or if you want to come out and say, like, you know what, I just want to spend a whole week completely immersed in play, making new friends, moving my body, getting in and out of the water. It's so important. It's important to do every day, and it's important to take those getaways. It's good for your health. It's good for your relationships. It's good for your soul. So if something like this sounds like it is a match for you, we would love to hear from you and love to go play with you.
What could go right? Hey everyone, before we sign off today, this is Erik, Orton, and I just want to give you the sailing update. A few weeks ago, we put out our schedule for the whole year, all of 2026. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of trips that are coming up that I think are really worth remembering. We are going to be spending the winter in the British Virgin Islands, the BVI. So we're going to do a trip early January, late January, and February. And I love the BVI, and I'm going to tell you why. It is easy to get to. The sailing is world class. There's fantastic snorkeling. It's sunny at a time of year when, you know, wherever you are in the world, January and February, chances are it's a little bit cold, a little bit gloomy. This is the perfect getaway for midwinter. So January 5th through the 10th, we're going to be in the BVI. We'll be there again January 26th through the 31st, and then again February 16th through the 21st. Another thing is these will be our lowest price trips of the year. After these trips, prices jump to our new season setting. So if you want to get the best bang for your buck, BVI January 5 through 10, 26 through 31, or February 16 through 21. If you're feeling spendy, March, we are going to French Polynesia. We're going to do a one-way sail from Raiatea to Bora Bora. Bora Bora is gorgeous. The last time we were there was, I want to say, 2017. So we don't go very often. It's almost double the cost of our other trips. If you can afford it, it's super worth it. And it's beautiful. Imagine just like the biggest expanses of turquoise water and incredible sea life and fun restaurants and beautiful scenery. So if you want to go to French Polynesia in March, we're going to be there March 8th through the 14th. If not, if that's a little bit out of your range, which I totally get, our January and February trips to the BVI are going to be your best deal for the year. So click the button or just go to the Awesome Factory / .ny for the Awesome Factory / sorry, let me get this right. The Awesome Factory .nyc / sailing. That'll take you to the page that explains everything. Let's hop on a call, or you can email us at hello@theawesomefactory.nyc. Would love to sail with you in Q1 of next year. There's a couple of spots left on each of the BVI trips, so would love to welcome you aboard, and whether there or Bora Bora, either way, it'd be fun to sail together. Before we wrap up entirely, people go sailing with us, and I want you to hear from them directly what kind of experience they have. So here's a sailing takeaway from somebody who's gone sailing with us recently.
Something I was delighted about is going to flow into also my takeaway, and that is everything that I learned from everyone on the boat. Just whenever you get together with another person, they always have an incredible story to share and the wisdom that they've collected along the way, and I learned so much from everyone here, and so that's what I'm going to be taking. I'm going to be taking home new recipes, new moves, new stories, new ideas about ways to think about things. So, you know, we put together these great trips, but every single crew is like a fingerprint, just so special and unique in their own way. Nobody who comes out with us has the same experience as anybody else who comes out. It's always unique because the people make it so special.